What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a part 3 of the Django web development series. I'm your host, CentX, and let's get into it. Today what we're going to be talking about is the admin page of Django, as well as an opportunity for me to show off just how easily we could incorporate other people's apps for all kinds of things, and we'll just show a really quick example by the end of this one. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to do is to use admin, we need a super user. We don't have one. So the first thing that we're going to do is create one. So I'm going to open up a command prompt here, and I'm going to say python manage.py create super user. And then here, what we're going to do is pick a username. The default would be like your computer's name. I'm using a Paperspace virtual machine here, so that's why it says Paperspace, but I'm going to call mine CentX. Email address, you can put one or not. It doesn't really matter. If you do have one, later on down the line, like right now we're running Django with debug equals true, so we get and see the debugging messages, so it's no big deal. Later, when you push your website to production, Django has a sort of reporting functionality because you won't be running with debug equals true, and you can incorporate and allow Django to actually email you when certain errors are hit. So there could be a reason you want to add an email address here, but just like everything else with Django, if you decide not to do it now, like that, you can always come back and revisit this later. You can just edit the username and add the email address, no big deal. Password, I always use programming as my password, duh. Or Python is amazing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got a user created and we're ready to rumble. Side note, of course, don't make your password super simple for your admin account. Otherwise, someone could log into your admin, and then what I'm about to show you with admin should tell you why you wouldn't like that to occur. Okay, so what we want to do, now that we've got this admin user, we actually could run the server and check things out. So actually, I'm going to go python manage.py run server because I don't have another one running right now. And let's go ahead and head to our website /admin. Boom, we get a login and it's way zoomed in. Okay, CentX and programming is awesome, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and what we get here is the Django admin page. Here we can see a couple of things. We've got groups and users. We could go ahead and click on users. Boom, there's your CentX user that you just created. We could click on that user. Boom, we've got the username, password, which is this hashed out password basically. But then here we've got some personal information that we could change. The reason why this is all here is because the admin user or the super user is just a version of a user, and the user, the Django user model, has fields for name and email address and all that. So anyways, that's why that's already there. Now, I know you must be wondering, well, what about our model? Because we just made a model in the last tutorial. Where's that at? Well, you have to register your models. So you go to the Django registration, you cut out a little piece of the cardboard that your Django package came in. Anyway, I cracked myself up. Okay, so what we got to do is go into main, and we just go into the admin here. And in fact, I told myself I was going to keep using this one. So we go here and register your models here. So all we have to do is actually import the tutorial model. So from models import tutorial. Don't forget the relative period there. And then all we need to do is admin.site.register, and we can do tutorial like that. Tutorial. Hopefully I spelled that right. Let's find out. Let's refresh. Boom, tutorials. Interestingly enough, this has an S appended to it, even though the tutorial is singular. I forget what it is. It's there is a method you can override. Eventually we will probably hit it, but because it's kind of annoying. So a term like series, what it's going to do is just adds an S to it. It doesn't have any handling for if the thing ends in S, maybe do like ES or just an apostrophe or something. It doesn't. It's really stupid. It just adds an S. So anyway, later we could fix that. But that's where the S is coming from. It's literally taking the model name plus S. So Yeah, but later on down the line, when you're like trying to go back and figure out where is it getting the name from, that's what's going on. So anyway, been there, done that. Okay, so that's how we could register it. Super simple. And if we click on tutorials, boom, we can already see the tutorial that we actually made, and all the fields are here. And notice how like the date published has this thing like today and now, and you could click on a calendar and pick. All these things are done for us. And like, for example, here, this is car field, and it's just like a short field. And here you've got this big field here because it's a text field. And I just think that's so cool. If anybody's ever had to make an admin like control panel in ACP and needed to do all of this stuff, that's a lot of work. And even though this is like super basic, I mean, a lot of stuff went into this, and that's pretty awesome. So, okay, so we've got that done. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how we can kind of customize this slightly. Later on, it could get even more crazy than what we're about to do, but just to show you that you can do this, what we'll do is rather than just registering the model, so for example, your models could have like 100 attributes, but you might only want to edit a handful of them. Like some of them might be defaults, like what was the temperature or something like that you would never edit, okay? So you might not want all the fields. You also might want to like organize the fields in different ways or in different orders and so on. So, or set, for example, a default. So right now, if I go to the tutorial and either add tutorial here or even back here, you could say add. So we could add another tutorial here. Let's just add a quick print tutorial. Actually, I'm going to save this for now. I don't want to add one right now. I'll save that for later. We will add some more, but I'm going to wait until after the amazing app changes. So the first thing that we should do is how can we customize like the order and like the setup of tutorial here. So what we're going to do is we could say here class, and we're just going to say tutorial admin, and this it will inherit from admin.model admin. So it's just, it basically, when we register, all we're going to do is actually register tutorial with tutorial admin here. And this was just assumed before. Now we're just overriding it basically. And these are the parameters by which we are going to override it. We're going to say, hey, we want the following fields, and you'll just pass a list here. So for example, each field would be an attribute. So tutorial title was one of them. And let's just add because it was 3. Then we had tutorial content, and then we had tutorial published. Should be right. Let's refresh real quick, make sure it's all looking hunky-dory. Sure enough. Okay, but tutorial published, maybe we want that like up above, right? So what we could do is come into here and just change the order. Cut, paste. That was ugly. Oh, this is so ugly. Ooh, almost got by that. Not today, Python, not today. Okay, so now we got the different order here. Another thing that we could do is you can separate them by fields. Just again, if you had like 100, you might want to like cluster them together or something. So this, we don't really have enough to show that truly. But anyway, I'll just show it real basically. Okay, field sets. Okay, so now we can actually separate them into sets. So for example, we could say title date. In this set is fields. And then in here, we'll put tutorial title and tutorial published. Then we'll have another set which will be called content, and then in here we can pass fields, And then tutorial content, and then I can get rid of that. Hopefully, hopefully we didn't error. Let's see what happens. Boom, awesome. Wow, usually I would make a typo by then. So as you can see, we got these like little dividers basically for the data types. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. The next thing is that we could do is, for example, if I go to, I don't want to delete. Let's go to tutorials, add a tutorial. You can see here like the date is empty. One of the things that I wouldn't mind doing really quickly is changing our model here. Let's go models.py. And here, you see where we have tutorial published equals model.datetime field, then we call it date published. One of the parameters that we can put into one of these is a default. So I would like the default to be datetime now. So what we can say is from datetime import datetime, and then datetime.now. Boom, save that. And that would be a change to our model, so I don't think we're going to get away with... let's see what happens. I'm trying to decide if that would require... I don't imagine that's going to require a migration. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Let's see what happens. Nope, didn't require a migration. Nice. So now, when you hit new tutorial, boom, that's already in there. So why that didn't require a migration... I guess you would have to, it must be Django is running like Python to set those defaults, would be my guess, because this is never, it's not an SQL default, right? It's because this, when we hit new right here, this doesn't create any SQL yet. Nothing is, inserted SQL wise until we probably hit save. So that's probably why we didn't need to migrate. But we also could have found out, like if you're uncertain, it's never going to be a big deal if you if you get lost. How many things do I got to minimize? If you just quickly do a Python manage.py make migrations, if you just check, wow, it actually altered. So it does want to alter it. Fascinating, but it actually made the change. Interesting. Already forgot. Let's just, I guess we could go ahead and Python manage.py migrate. Fine. Okay. Hey, that's interesting. Even though that was already, it didn't seem like a migrate was required. Anyway. Okay. Very, very interesting. So the big thing now is... when I come into here, like imagine actually trying to write tutorials in here. Now, maybe not everybody here has written a tutorial, but this is like plain text, which would be really, really painful and very tedious. Also, you guys probably don't want to read Python code written straight into there. That would probably not be pleasant. So instead what we want is some sort of like editor, and they make editors called like what you see is what you get types of editors. Now I just did a quick search for some editors for Django, and I found that there's one called TinyMCE 4-Lite. So all we need to do to grab that, and that's a Django app that we can just add to our app. So all we need to do first is install it. So I'm gonna come over, I'm guessing this is, nope, wrong. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and real quick, I already forget if pip corresponds to 3.7 or not. Yes. So I'm going to go pip install Django-TinyMCE 4-Lite. What? Oh, it was slash pip somehow? Okay. I was like, I just checked pip. Okay. Okay, so... if you want to follow along, you can. It's a pretty lightweight package. If you don't want to follow along and just watch, that's totally fine too. But basically, my goal here is to just show you how quickly and easily you can add someone else's app. So anyways, pip install Django. This is basically, it's just something that's going to override certain model types. So what we're going to override here is the this text field that we've got, and we're going to turn that instead into like an editor. So okay, so we've installed Django TinyMCE for Lite. Great, so we have that. Now what we need to do is add this to our installed apps, because we want to call upon it, we want to be able to point URLs towards it, and so on. So first thing we're going to do is stop trying to edit in here, go to our little Sublime here, and we're going to go into My Site and settings.py. Come down to installed apps, and I'm just going to add it down here, and I'm going to say TinyMCE is the name of the app. So the next thing I'm going to do, and by the way, if you are curious about it, I do have, I put a link to the text-based version in the description, and you're definitely going to want to start heading that way really quickly, because I'm going to make this huge copy and paste that there's no way I'm going to write out on a video. Boom, there's the copy and paste. So these are the configuration settings for our TinyMCE widget. Basically, it's all the things that we want included here. What are the things that I want to be able to click on, and buttons and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's there. Cool. So there's that. And so if you go to the text-based version of the tutorial, you can just copy and paste that snippet. Also, I link to all of the possible configurations. So if you wanted to kind of change this around, this is just one of the more defaulty ones. The next thing we need to do is be able to point our app to TinyMCE, because our widgets are going to call upon TinyMCE to work. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say path, and we're going to allow the path of TinyMCE, and basically that's going to work with include TinyMCE.urls. This needs to be in quotes. Cool. Add the comma so I don't forget later on. All right, so now what we want to do is hopefully save that. Let me make sure we're not hitting errors yet. Good, looks like everything's working up to this point. Now what we want to do is head over to our admin. So in main admin.py, now what we want to do is first we need to make the import. And what we want to say is from tinymce.widgets, we're going to import the TinyMCE widget. Also, from django.db, we're going to import models, because we're actually going to just modify the model here for admin purposes. So we don't necessarily want every text field to be an editor, right, across our entire website. We just want this one. We just want one to be. So what we're going to say here is basically under our field sets, we're also going to make a quick change, and we're going to say form field underscore overrides equals, and then we're going to say models dot text field. That's actually title cased text field, and that will be a widget, and that's TinyMCE. Oh my goodness, there we go. Okay, so that will override that that specific text field just for tutorial admin for us. We could do something very similar in our models and all that kind of stuff. There's other ways, and it's like, so for our views to display to like a regular user, like right here we're making all these changes to admin.py, which is kind of like its own separate entity. Although some people I've seen people use admin and they like extend the admin to actually be their main website. It's kind of not suggested that you do that, but I suppose you could. But I'm just letting you know, this is not the only use case for TinyMCE, or any app for that matter, or any widget that you want to grab that happens to be an app, and so on. Anyway, save that, come over here, let's make a refresh. Darn it! Can't get through a tutorial without something like that. Let's see, what did I do wrong? This needs to be I wonder, did I get... Sometimes that autocorrect smacks me in the face. Or not like autocorrect, but the suggestion. I'm pretty confident I didn't make that mistake. Thanks. Anyway, like sometimes it suggests and then I hit enter to like make a new line or whatever, and yeah. All right, anyway, long story short, boom! We have an editor now. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. Okay, now, so like for example, we could say like print tutorial. Okay, and then we come down here and, you know, you could write stuff. Here's how to print things. And then, like, you can even enter like a code snippet. So we'll just do this, and we'll define print stuff. And then we can pick a language. We'll go with Python, print, and then we'll underscore here because that's proper. The thing, and print the thing. Also, we'll return the thing because why wouldn't we? Print stuff. Whoa. Awesome. So then we've entered a little snippet. Boom. Save that. Boom. Now we got 2 tutorials. Holy moly. Okay. Anyway. All right, so we've got these tutorials, and now we want to be able to display them and stuff, and we definitely don't want our homepage looking like that anymore. So now what we're going to start moving into is like views and templates and stuff like that, and getting our website to look a little better. And then we'll get very briefly, I promise, into some design, and then back to other Django stuff. So, that's it for now. Quick shout out to my most recent channel members. We've got KB, Jagdish, Ishan, AJ Kumar, and Robo11735. Thank you guys very much for your support. You guys are awesome. That's it for now. Questions, comments, concerns, whatever, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, I will see you guys in another video.